Bye-bye. All right, sorry guys, I'm just taking these calls off the air here that were stacked up. If people took the time to call me, I kind of feel like I should take the time to talk to them. So we're going to see if this is the last one here. We're going to see if Nora is still here. She has a question about live mail. Thanks for holding, Nora. Are you still there with me? Oh, well, thank you for holding on the line there. I appreciate you listening to the program. How can I help you today? Okay. Okay. Sure. Okay. Really? Okay. Sure. What's your last name real quick? Let me take a look at what's going on here. Okay. And first name? Yeah, yeah. I remember. I remember the last name for sure. Yeah, I think we have him under Andy. All right. Oh no, I'm sorry. All right, let's take a look here. Okay. Well, the now I'll argue that you shouldn't. I mean, to say you should have known that, that's that. I agree. That is a little. It doesn't sound like him to say something like that. So I'm not sure what was going on there, but I will definitely talk to him about that. The Windows Live Mail, Windows Live Mail died with Windows Vista. So Live Mail was out of service since George W. Bush was president. And yeah, and so basically the problem was Microsoft is pressuring people to move on to new email. So what they're doing is they first they kind of soft ended support, and then every iteration of Windows 10, basically every time they put out a new one of these big upgrades that comes out, it kills live mail again. And we do have a few customers that still use live mail, and they for whatever reason, they don't want to move on. Sometimes one of them is like 94 years old. He just doesn't want to learn something new, and I get that. And so sometimes, up until this last version, we were able to find a hack around to get it working and get it up and running again. But this last one, it was so thoroughly, well and truly nailed that we could not do that. Now, with that said, what I'm trying to find here is I'm trying to figure out if there was some other reason that the email does transfer. It's just you can't install live mail, so you can't open the live mail files. So what we can, right, it does not automatically transfer. He's not wrong when he says that. So with that said, not automatically transferring is different from not being able to transfer it. So let me do this for you. I will obviously be talking to him on. I think he's off until Tuesday, but let me call down to the service center here when they open up. Talk to one of the techs and find out if there was some technical reason that we couldn't transfer the mail, like the hard drive was bad, for example. If the hard drive is bad and it's crashed, we might not be able to transfer it because we can't. But then we wouldn't be able to transfer anything usually. So let me talk with them and find out what's going on there, and then what I will do is either myself or one of my other technicians will give you a call back with some help to get you through this and get your email recovered in there. And I mean that is possible. That is possible. We only keep them for 15 days. Gotcha. Well, let me see if I can make it better for you, okay? And gotcha. Well, we don't want that. Yeah. Well, when the hard drive fails, that'll do that. Okay, that sounds really weird. Like I can't imagine Kane ever telling anybody he won't talk to you. Um, right, yeah, and I can see it says computer. I'm looking at the work order. It says computer not showing video feed and won't stay booted. And resolution was hit the power button. They turned it on, and it turned on just fine. So let me. It sounds like this has been an epic show here. So let me find out what's going on with the back end of this, because that's the extent of the notes that I have. So there's got to be something else going on. And I see that the endpoint install, and now it's saying it has sleep issues, and that the mouse is locking up. So we installed endpoint. We disabled the sleep mode because you don't want to use sleep mode. And the mouse worked fine in the service center. No green screens, it says, and customer monitor might be the issue. The monitor could be going bad if you're getting a weird green screen. Um, gotcha. No, I hear you. I hear you. It's incredibly frustrating moving to a new computer sometimes, and then adding to the frustration doesn't help. So let me. I know, like right now, when it gets hot like this, we get really slow because people don't like to come out in the heat with their computers, or for any reason really. And so about the only thing the guys had to do in there, I'm sure, the last few days is wipe hard drives that were at 15 days. So I'm sure they're not making it up that the hard drive is not there anymore after 15 days. Do you have an old backup though, potentially, that you maybe had done on an external hard drive? Gotcha. Okay, so then the other possibility is the software that we use to transfer your data. It's an automated software package, and so if there are live files, it used to transfer them, and the software I don't think has changed. So the files may have been transferred; they may just not be imported. And I'm sure the guys would have checked this already, but I'm just going to double check it. Okay, so I'm going to call down. I'm going to talk to. I'll get a hold of Eli, find out kind of what's going on. And then from that point we can go forward and try to figure out what we can do to make this better for you. But I apologize for that experience. You don't want to hear that. I'm actually live on Facebook right now. Everyone, all the fans are hearing this. So I mean, I don't want any of my customers to have an experience like what you have experienced, especially being a longtime customer. That's not what we want to see. So let me, I'm like I said on the show, I'm always, it's the negative comments that always stand out. So when I get a complaint about a technician, that's something that I want to definitely look into and take care of, because if one person is complaining about something, chances are that it's happened more than once. And if it's happened more than once, then it's something that's hurting us and hurting our reputation, and it's not the kind of service I want to deliver. So I have to do something about that. So let me look into this for you. I promise you I will get someone back to you yet today to figure out if there is anything we can do, and then to double check and cover. Are you having any issues with the monitor or the mouse or anything now? Okay. Okay, so the monitor was bad. Okay. Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. Well, that was a small blessing anyway. All right, so let me check with them, find out what I can do, and then we'll get someone, myself or Eli or somebody, to get you a call back here today to see if there's anything more that we can do to kind of make this better for you. All right, thank you so much for your call. I appreciate you taking the time to let me know. Oh, no problem. That's the first step. We got to do that first. All right, thank you, Nora. Bye-bye. Oh, you need my flash drive.
Yeah.
Where did I put my keys? Here are my keys. All right, so the one time I start the Facebook Live and I'm like, hey, this will be this, or let me just take this call really quick, really quick. Yeah, see, lovely Kimberly, it happens. Oh boy, that was a rough call. So in that situation, what we had was a customer, longtime customer in Lincoln, been with us for more than a decade, who had some kind of had a bad experience with one of my technicians, who I think is one of my better technicians, so one of my senior techs. So this is something that I want to look into. Maybe somebody was having a bad day and got a little grumpy with somebody, but situation was a customer ordered a new computer, customer went out of town, customer brought in their computer for a data transfer. We transferred the information over. Windows Live Mail is not supported by the current version of Windows 10. They were using Windows Live Mail, and now as a result, their new computer that they got from us has no email on it because we transferred everything over, and the Live Mail won't run, so there's no email there. And then it took more than 15 days to get the computer picked up, so the old hard drive was wiped because we only hang on to them for 15 days before we wipe them if they're recycled. So the old drive, the source drive is gone, and now we got to figure out, is the destination there? So the customer took the computer home, and then the computer wouldn't stay awake. It basically was not staying powered on, and the mouse wouldn't work, and there was all kinds of issues with it. So finally, we sent somebody out to the house to look at it, and the computer was not showing any video, would not stay turned on. So while we were on site, we pushed the power button and everything turned on, and we're like, it's on. And then one of the guys, and this is the thing, when something like this goes wrong, then every small mistake becomes a giant mistake. Every small mistake, they would be like, hey, we can correct that really easily. So this customer had endpoint on their old computer, but it didn't get moved over to their new computer. That's a stupid mistake. It's like, oh my gosh, that's dumb. And we can fix it really quick over the Schrock desk, but when you have other mistakes that pile up in front of it, the little mistakes become big mistakes. And so as a result, their endpoint didn't get installed, so we got that taken care of. And then basically we brought it into the service center to figure out why the thing wouldn't stay on, and it, of course, stays on perfectly in the service center. And usually when that happens, and we had another situation like this in the Papillion Service Center, when the computer works perfectly in the service center, the customer takes it home, something in the environment is wrong. That's not working right. It's causing a problem, because when they bring it back, it works perfectly. In this case, what we didn't know was that she took water damage, and that the water leaked into her monitor. And the only reason it didn't leak into her computer was because her computer was in the service center waiting for a data transfer. So while they were out of town, it sounds like they had some pipes or something happen, and the monitor got wet, and I'm guessing the mouse got wet too. And that's why she replaced the monitor, and now all the, if your monitor doesn't work, it can look like the computer's powering off. We have a customer in Plattsmouth. They came in for some basic work on some stuff, and I'm like, listen, you have like a 2012 holiday special. It's got no extended warranty on it. You really want the extended warranty. And so he buys the extended warranty. And then, like, all hell breaks loose. They take the computer back home. It's locking up. It's blue screening. Or what she says, the customer tells us it's blue screening. So blue screening to us means blue screen of death. Blue screening to her meant it's showing the desktop blue background. And the reason it was doing that is because she had the monitor plugged in 3 times. So your monitor has a VGA, it has an HDMI, and it has a DVI. And we want to make sure when we build you a computer that whatever monitor you have at home, it will plug into the back of your computer. So we give you all the connections on the back of the computer that you could possibly need. That doesn't mean you hook up all 3 of them, though. When you hook up all 3 of them, that means your computer thinks it has 3 monitors, right? And depending on dumb luck, one of the 3 monitors, every time you boot the computer, shows up on the screen. The other 2 are off in the ether over here somewhere. They don't exist. And so when you boot your computer and all it gives you is a blue screen, well, she kept telling us it's a blue screen. And we're saying, okay, it's a blue screen, like a blue screen of death. What are the numbers on the screen? I didn't write that down. Oh, shoot, okay. And we bring it into the service center and it works fine. So finally, this is like their business computer, this is their payroll computer, and they've been customers for years and they bought the warranty. I'm like, you know what? Replace everything. Replace the motherboard, replace the processor with current grade venture parts. So it's like a $1,200 computer now. Replace the hard drive, replace the power supply twice, replace everything. And then we send it back out and it's still doing it. We do a BWI. So now it's a brand new computer with a clean hard drive install. And it's still doing it. So finally, we just send a technician out to Plattsmouth. We're like, well, look at the thing in its environment and find out what's wrong. Pull 2 plugs out of the back of the thing and say, you only need 1 monitor plug. The worst part is in this situation, one of our technicians in Omaha, Brian, had worked with this customer over the phone and identified that as a possible problem and instructed the customer to remove the 2 plugs, and she did, and it worked fine. But then for some reason, the customer decided to plug them back in, and then the problem resumed. And then she didn't tell anybody that she plugged them back in. So we're thinking we checked that off the list. That's not the issue. We send somebody out on site, and there it is. So anyway, that's those situations are never fun. But here's the thing. After these things are done, we can smile and laugh a little bit, or, oh my gosh, I can't believe that the customer plugged them back in. People do things, whatever. When you have a woman on the phone who is near tears like she was, her and her husband have been customers of ours for years, who is literally telling me on the phone that she recommends us to everybody, and now she's not sure she can do that anymore. And she's very specific about who she spoke with. She's very specific about the details of the conversation. You know what? One of the things that I beat into my people, no, I don't beat them, but that we drive home to the people, is that it doesn't matter what's true and what's not true. All that matters is the impression you leave with people. Yes, we need to be honest, and yes, we need to be truthful, and yes, we need to solve people's computer problems. But if a customer is not happy, if we do everything right, if I install Drive Advisor on your computer and you buy the solid state upgrade from me and your hard drive blows up 6 months later and Drive Advisor doesn't warn you it's going to blow up, and you're upset with me because we sold you a hard drive and a program to monitor it that was free, and you lost your data and don't have a backup, and you're mad at me about that. Because if you would have only known how fragile solid states were, you wouldn't have bought one. You would have stayed with your mechanical hard drive. Now, in my brain, I know the solid state is so much more reliable than the mechanical drive. I know this to be a fact. Now is not the time to drive that fact home to the customer by telling the customer, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, no. Now is the time to say, I'm really sorry you feel that way. I'm glad we were able to take care of it for you. If you would like us to, I would be happy to move you back to a mechanical hard drive again. I wouldn't recommend it, but I would be happy to do it if that's something that would make you feel more comfortable with your computer. That's the right thing to do, even though it's the wrong thing to do. Don't take that step. God, don't do that. But if it's going to make that customer happy again, if it's going to make that customer satisfied with the level of service they have received from us, this is a lot like practicing medicine. You can do everything right and still be completely wrong just because of the way you approached a person. And so one of the things I have to teach, especially the younger kids coming in, your body language speaks volumes. So we believe in customer service at Schrock Innovations. And we want you to be completely satisfied with your purchase. And if you're not for some reason, send me an email. Let me know. Or we want you to be completely satisfied with your purchase at Schrock Innovations. And if for any reason you are like Andy or his wife Nora here, and you are not satisfied, I want you to reach out to me and tell me why you're not satisfied so that I can fix it. Not only fix it for you, because I'm going to get on the phone today, and it's either Kane or it's Eli that's working in Lincoln. And one of those two guys is the guy she was complaining about. So we're going to get a hold of them, and we're going to find out what happened, what were the conversations. The guys will tell me, I was nothing but respectful. I was nothing but, and I'm like, I'm sure that's completely true. Because as often happens, all these things get misremembered. The impression is all that matters. So you could have done everything right. The fact that she is on my phone means you failed. Okay? Now, I'm not chastising. I'm not saying you're a bad person because you failed, but you failed. This is a fail. You can't take credit for the wins and not the fails. You got to take the fails too. So we got to get this situation resolved. Now, sometimes there's nothing we can do. If the email is gone, the email is gone. But did we set her up with a new email program? Did we, she's telling us that somebody told her, you should have known your live mail isn't going to transfer. There is no way she should have known that. There's no way. Someone who's using live mail yesterday would know that they won't have live mail tomorrow. There's just no way. How are you supposed to know that? So there are some things that choice of words, the nonverbals, the shrug at the end of the sentence that invalidates everything you've previously said. We want you to be completely satisfied. Let me know if there's anything more we can do for you. Like, and I don't care. That doesn't fly. You can't do that. So we got to train these kids not to do that kind of stuff. So, all right. So I apologize for the long call there that became even longer here. All righty. Let's go on down. Could you please review the steps to back up a hard drive? All right, yes, the steps to back up a hard drive. Now, first of all, we have a video on Facebook and YouTube on how to do this that literally goes through it step by step with a screenshot. So let me pull that up real quick. And I can put a link directly to that video. Oh, let's see. Oh gosh, you're gonna make me go all the way to YouTube to do this? It's Google search engine, but you're gonna make me go to YouTube and search for our account right there. And we have a lot of Facebook videos that we have to sift through here. And yeah, going through there, lots of videos. I might have to search actually for this particular video because I can't believe how many videos we have made since I've done this. This is pretty crazy. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning and search for hard drive backup. How to back up your hard drive on Windows 10. 74 views is all it's got? Come on, people. 74 views. Okay, it's not the most exciting video you've ever seen. I'll grant you that. But it is backing up your hard drive, and here it is. Bam. Okay, so that's the video link for you to know how to back up your hard drive. In a nutshell, the things you want to look for. Backing up the hard drive is easy. First of all, you need to have something to back up to, an external hard drive or another hard drive inside your computer. It does not make sense to back up your hard drive to the same hard drive that you're backing up. I think that would be obvious, but I'm going to say that because I've seen it not be obvious before. If your hard drive fails, it doesn't matter how many partitions it's divided into, the hard drive is bad. If the building burns down and it's subdivided into 4 suites, and you're in suite A, and the fire starts in suite D and is moving toward you, and you're sitting in suite A, and you're like, those poor people in suite D, I don't know how they're ever going to recover their business. What do you want for lunch? It doesn't matter. The whole building is going to burn down, so you don't want to back up your hard drive to itself. Secondly, backing up, you don't need any special software. You don't need anything that's not already included in Windows. With a big old asterisk here, our backup recommendation has changed since Windows 7, okay? We used to recommend the Windows 7 backup and recovery, even into Windows 10, the first versions. What we found, though, is if you're using that Windows 7 backup and recovery still, is that when you move up to a new version of Windows 10, your old backups no longer work, and your backup doesn't back up properly. So you want to stop using the Windows 7 backup tool if you're still using it. It is available even in Windows 10. You don't want to use it anymore. On the other hand, there is the Windows 10 file history backup. That's what we're looking for. So just like in the video that I posted, you click Start, you click the gear for settings, you go to, oh golly, now you go to backups. Like I want to be more specific, okay? So you click Start, you click the settings gear. Oh golly, it's under Update and Security is the control panel you want to use. And on the left-hand menu, you want to click on Backup. And when you click on Backup, it'll say Backup using file history, and it should be turned on. And under More Options, there's some advanced options you want to set here. You want to make sure to say Keep my backups until space is needed. Otherwise, what happens is when your external hard drive or whatever fills up with backups, it stops backing up because there's no more room. Well, we don't want it to stop, and we don't really care about the backups from a year ago. So we want to throw the old backups away that we don't need anymore and just keep the current ones. One of the nice things about the file history backup is it literally backs up a history of the file. If you've ever had a file that you've worked a long time on and you want to use that as a template to start a new file. So you open the old file and you make changes to it and you mean to click save as, but you accidentally click save and you're like, oh no, I just destroyed the old file. You can go back in the file history and recover that old file as well as the new file. So it's really handy. It's like the time machine backup on a Mac, basically. It works really well. It backs up all of your stuff. It does not back up an image, so it doesn't back up your programs, but it will back up your email, even your live mail. But yeah, so if you have a hard drive sitting in a box, like when I asked Nora, I said, do you happen to maybe have an old backup somewhere so we can at least, I'm thinking, restore a partial backup? And she goes, nope, the backup hard drive we bought from you is still sitting here in the box. Take it out of the box and run a backup, guys. Just do it. It's going to be hot as heck today. Do a backup. Just do one backup today, okay? Even if it's only one time, even if you don't change the settings and everything, just do one, and that way you'll be protected. All right. Okay, Thor knows the score. No, not fixing a roof AC yet. That's coming up next. So, last call for questions, guys. I don't have a whole lot going on in the AfterSchrock for stories here. We talked about the Veritas thing. There really wasn't a whole lot going on in the news. There's an article here. I haven't even read it yet, but it sounded interesting enough that I had it as backup content, just in case we didn't get any calls. Here's why your iPhone takes longer to charge in the summertime. I'm figuring, I haven't read the article yet, so here's my guess. My guess is that it takes longer to charge in the summer because it's hot. Have you noticed your iPhone, this also applies to most other smartphones and tablets too, takes longer to charge during the summertime? Here's why and what you can do about it. The reason that your devices take longer to recharge in the summer is that the warmer the battery gets, the slower the circuits deliver power to the device. So it's charging slow because it's hot. But most of us charge our stuff inside, don't we? I mean, who's charging their stuff outside in the sun? Maybe a backup battery or something? The reason for this is twofold. It's a safety mechanism to prevent the battery from overheating and possibly rupturing like a Tesla. It also prevents possible long-term wearing of the battery. How much can this affect charge times? It depends. I've seen iPhones in hot cars simply refuse to charge. I've actually had that happen. If you leave your phone in the car and it gets too hot and you plug it in, it'll say phone is too hot and it just won't charge. You can't put a charge into it because it's too hot. Admittedly, they are very hot at that time. The iPhone, along with other devices, have a temperature range which they're comfortable operating in. It's usually between 32 degrees and 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Apple also provides non-operating temperature ranges, which we don't care about. The bottom line is if you want the best lifespan for your devices, keep them out of the baking sun in the summer. So yeah, there you go. See, that's the kind of filler stuff that's almost interesting enough to be in the show that if I had to string that into a segment, I could have done it. But yeah, it's not, no. The other thing is there was I think we talked about this maybe during the AfterSchrock last week. If you use Google Chrome, take a serious look at switching to Firefox. Google Chrome is getting oppressive in the amount of data it's collecting on you when you're using it. You are the product when you use Google Chrome. It works great. It works well. Everybody tested well with everything. But there's nothing wrong with Chrome. But Firefox does everything just about as well, and they're private. So heads up there. Okay. Scrolling down. No problem, guys. No problem. Brian in Omaha is awesome. Quickly fix secure updater issue I called about last week. Well, that's awesome. I really appreciate that. Like I said, when you have a compliment like this to drop on one of my employees, or if you want to completely destroy their life, you can post a complaint about that employee. Yeah, we've never had that happen before, like a one-star complaint about an individual person. But yeah, that's pretty rough if that ever happens. But if you did want to do something like that, leaving a Google review is honestly, or a Yelp review. The problem with Yelp is people who complain a lot post to Yelp. It sounds like a mean thing to say, but you know, it just is. It's not a bad thing. It's just how life is, I guess. When you have something nasty to say, you post it to Yelp. I very rarely see anybody posting anything to Yelp that is, hey, they did a great job. As a result, most businesses tend not to pursue Yelp. And as a result, when Yelp calls, they call businesses like Schrock and they say, hey, we want to make sure that you're getting the best exposure possible on Yelp. And you pay for our service. It's $400 a month or whatever, and we'll help clear up bad reviews, do all kinds of things for you. And the response is always, no, I'm not going to pay you to manage my reputation when you are the people who are destroying my reputation, because I have customers that post great 5-star reviews on Yelp. But because they've only posted one review on Yelp, that customer is suspect. It could be us posting a review on ourselves. So you sandbox their review, which means you make it non-visible to anybody except that customer. If you go back, it'll look like your review is posted, but it's sandboxed. And if it's a negative review, they never sandbox those. So my competitors can go onto Yelp and post all kinds of negative stuff about us. We had a suggested Facebook change. While I was at summer camp on a mountain with no data, one of my competitors, I'm assuming, suggested a change to our Facebook profile that we are permanently closed. Now, if you probably don't realize this, but when you're a business and somebody suggests a change to your Facebook page, like ours or permanently closed or something like that, you have a certain number of days to respond to that before it automatically becomes part of your page. So if someone says you're permanently closed and you don't respond and say this is not true, your page will say you were permanently closed eventually. So they tried to sneak that through while I was up on a mountaintop, but they didn't realize the lovely Kimberly was minding the store while I was gone. You see what I mean? So that didn't get through. But yeah, Yelp is such a racket, especially for small businesses. It's really terrible because people who have negative, like you'll see us, we have like huge numbers of Facebook reviews that are positive, huge numbers of Google reviews that are positive, and then we have like a 2-star Yelp review rating. And you'll see all these negative things posted on Yelp. But you won't see any of the positive ones that were posted because those customers don't use Yelp. The people who complain a lot, who leave a lot of negative reviews, use Yelp. And when they use Yelp to leave negative reviews, they get a lot of reviews posted. And they get responses. We've called these people back. Most of these customers aren't real customers. They're fake people that our competitors are posted or something like that. It's really frustrating. But if you do use Yelp and you use Yelp to post positive things, please post a positive thing about us on Yelp. We could really appreciate that. Hi, Zane. How are you doing? Not having any luck transferring to Firefox. Don't know how, I guess. Oh, well, you got to download it. You go to getfirefox.com and you install it. And when you first turn it on Firefox, it'll say, welcome. Do you want us to migrate everything from Google Chrome? And you'll say, yes. And it goes, and it's migrated. Now, it can't migrate your saved password. So if you have passwords saved, you'll have to log in again and save the passwords. And you can transfer to Firefox and still use Gmail and things like that. You don't have to avoid all Google products. But it's just a much safer browser. It's always safer to have some separation between the biggest browser in the world is Chrome and the biggest advertising company in the world is Google. There's a lot of data being shared there so that Google can advertise and make money monetizing you. When you put Firefox in the middle of that, not so much gets shared. It makes it a little tougher for Google to monetize you. So it's a good way to go. Every time I've talked to your employees, they have been quite knowledgeable employees. Thank you, Eileen. We try to hire really good people. Our latest hire is a guy named Eddie who can only work weekends, so he's getting tough to train him up. And Papillion on the weekends is kind of slow, but we want to get him trained up so that he can work the weekends, and then that'll free up a guy from the weekend to work during the week. So it's kind of a fun situation, getting him trained. But we're having all the employees over to, they're all invited. Most of them are coming over to my house where we have our annual 4th of July party. The lovely Kimberly puts on quite the shindig, and so we've invited everybody over. And so the cool thing is I bought the good Roman candles, because if you go to your fireworks tent, you say, I want Roman candles for a Roman candle war. If you're not familiar with a Roman candle war, it's where stupid teenage boys shoot at each other with Roman candles. It's like shooting with muskets, right? And if somebody gets hit, they're going to get hit in the eye and they're going to lose an eye. I mean, it's going to be like, it's either going to be no one's going to get hurt or there's going to be a gruesome injury, right? But there are 2 different types of Roman candles made in China, which is ironic that all the fireworks you're buying for the 4th of July are all made in China. I was literally sitting in the fireworks tent thinking, I mean, I know labor costs a lot in America, but I also know the markup on fireworks is like 70%. So would people pay extra on the 4th of July to buy fireworks that were handmade in America? Because all fireworks are handmade. Every black cat you blow up is hand rolled by somebody. It's not done by a machine. So is there, I don't know, is there demand for that? I'm not going to start a fireworks company, but if you're looking for a business idea and you like to play with explosives, if your designation in the military was an explosive ordnance technician, this could be for you, right? So you could start American fire. I would pay a little bit extra to have American-made fireworks to go kaboom on the 4th of July. It's kind of like buying made in China flags. I mean, it's really, I pay a little bit extra to buy an American flag made in America. So that's not true of all things. That's one of the things I was thinking about, totally unrelated. We've printed a ton of money in the last decade. Why do we have more inflation? And it's like, well, everything's been getting cheaper because as we outsourced it overseas to China and things like that, the cost of the goods has gone down. So the price has been inflating, but the cost of producing is going down, which means the price of things is pretty much steady. Unless you look at things that don't get any cheaper to make, like food or fuel. Those prices have gone up. But those are excluded from the inflation calculation, so you don't have to worry about those things. Those politicians have got it done right. All right, is there a test that I can do at home to check for my hard drive for damage? Well, the biggest thing you can do is hook up Drive Advisor to your hard drive. If you hook up Drive Advisor to your hard drive, install Drive Advisor on your computer. Could I have said that any more confusing? Install Drive Advisor on your computer. It's a free program. It's driveadvisor.com with an ER. So driveadvisor.com. And so driveadvisor.com, it's a free program. There is no, it asks you for your email, but the only reason it asks for your email is to send you an email if your computer's hard drive is going bad. But it will instantly show you a screen you can open up, and it'll test all the hard drives hooked up to your computer. It'll test your external hard drives, because if you have a backup drive, you want to know if that's bad, right? It'll test your externals. It'll test your C drive. It'll make sure everything is good to go for you on your computer. So that's the easiest way to do it. All righty. Back again, Thomas. Drive Advisor. That's right, Keith. I'm out prepping now. Kim is in the garage getting the decorations put up. All right, so my parents brought my mom's laptop for a maintenance checkup, removed several pieces of malware. As always, awesome service. Well, thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it. Eddie showed up yesterday to try to fix William's new computer. He had to take it away, but his customer service attitude was great, and I was assured that William will have his computer. Yeah, Eddie is awesome. So Eddie works full-time at Madonna Rehabilitation Center in their IT department. And he came to us because he's like, I got a new baby at home, extra mouth to feed, want to get a part-time job, bring a little extra money in. And I'm looking at his application. And I mean, he's applying for like a minimum wage part-time job, right? And I'm looking at his application thinking, what's wrong with you? Because there's got to be a reason you're applying for a minimum wage part-time job with this resume. And he's like, I know my resume looks really good, and that's why I'm actually having trouble finding a job, because everybody looks at my resume and says he's too good for this, he's not going to stay. He said, but here's the thing. Madonna only uses Lenovo laptops, Lenovo computers everywhere. So I am 5 miles deep in Lenovo. I know everything there is to know about Lenovo. And at this point, I interrupt him because I'm like, sweet opportunity. Okay, Eddie, I have a question for you. This is a job interview, so you better answer me truthfully. Where do you guys get your Lenovo parts? And he's like, oh man, it's so tough. Sometimes we have to buy them off eBay. And I'm like, okay, it's not just us. Oh my gosh, people, you save so much money when you buy a Lenovo laptop. It's a Chinese laptop, just like a Huawei, but you save so much money when you buy it. Heaven forbid anything breaks. Because when it does, there are no parts depots in the United States. There is no repairing it. You have to order the part from China and wait a month to get the part, and half the time they send you the wrong part. It's actually, we've done this before. We'll go on eBay and try to find the part, like somebody's taken the Lenovo apart and sold it part for part on eBay when they're done with it, rather than selling it as a computer, because they could get more for it in parts. Or we try to find, like, if you have one that's got a broken palm rest, we try to find one online that's got like a bad motherboard that's being sold for parts, and then we buy the whole thing. We have a stack of Lenovo's in the Lincoln Service Center. When we get the whole thing, we just keep the parts, because next time we need that part, we don't do that for any other laptop. So we're like, Eddie, where do you get your Lenovo parts, man? And he's like, oh, it's terrible. So if Madonna Rehabilitation, with all the computers they go through, can't get parts any faster than Schrock can, okay, we're doing it right, I guess, on eBay. Wow, that's terrible. All right, so yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, Eddie's a good guy. That's the other thing. He struck me when I interviewed him. He struck me as a professional, competent individual who is capable of carrying out a conversation with somebody on a human-to-human level, with on a topic of technology, which is one of the hardest things to train. Especially so, if we're talking about a part-time guy that we're going to bring in, we'll bring in junior techs all the time. This guy could be a senior tech at some point. He's got the chops for it. But he's just got a really cush job at Madonna where he just kind of sits back and waits for someone to call him with a problem. Not unlike Schrock, actually. He just kind of sit around on these hot days anyway, wait for someone to call with a problem, right? Okay. William is Elizabeth's brother. Gotcha. I had the app installed last week. When I open it, it sends me a screen labeled default apps. Okay. So, Helen, I'm seeing your comment here. What app did you install last week? He says you had the app installed last week. You're talking about Drive Advisor? I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm going to reply to you here in case you're not watching. What app are you installing? Question mark. Okay. So I've replied to you there just in case you're still not watching live. But I love it. When I post a comment, I have to scroll all the way back down. Okay. And that'll be the last one, guys, because I really do have to go get that ladder and get on a roof and get an air conditioner working, because it's 85 in the Papillion Service Center right now, and that's not. Parker was like, I don't care. The customers might not like it though. I'm like, I don't know. 85 might feel pretty good after you come in from outside today. Wasn't feeling very good at my house though. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm wiring up this compressor for the air. Okay. Oh, the air conditioner thing. Yeah. Okay. So the air conditioner. At 8 o'clock, the babysitter puts the kids to bed on Friday night. The air conditioner is fine. We get home at 9:45, and it's 77 degrees upstairs. We literally keep the house at like 70 degrees. So this is a significant departure from the temperature. Something is not right. So we go outside, and the outside air conditioner unit is not running. It's not, rumbling and the fan spinning. And I walk over to it and just kind of touch my hand to it and pull my hand away. I'm like, that's like 120 degrees. I'm like, yeah, it's hot outside, but it's dark. I touched the other air conditioner. It's not that hot. Like, because we have a 2-story house, so there's one for each floor. And I'm like, ooh, that one's not hot. This one is like, holy cow, hot. So I go get the garden hose, thinking it's just overheated. Maybe there's like some seeds in the condenser or something. I'm spraying it out, and I spray over the motor on the top. That's the thing in the center that turns the fan blade. And the water hits it, and it goes steam, and it just evaporates, and it's dry again, like bone dry again. And I'm like, that's not good. Just put the hose on there, and okay, it's not steaming anymore. What the heck? And then I smell it. I can smell that burnt electrical smell, and I'm like, oh. So I reach down and I pull the breaker for that unit so that it's not getting power anymore, and then it cools down. And okay, so it's off now. So yeah, it's Friday night, and the motor on the air conditioner is bad. And I'm looking on Amazon. I'm like, is there a 1-day Prime motor I can get? I find the motor. I figure out what I need. But unfortunately, there's no Prime. You can't get it Prime anywhere. And so I'm like, I'm going to have to buy this locally. So there's lots of AC supply warehouses in town. They don't sell to the general public. Or if they do, they sell at a different counter. You can't walk into the wholesale counter and get it. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, but I can go up to the service counter and buy it. I'll pay the same price I pay an HVAC guy for it. It won't be like the Amazon price, but at least I can get the motor, because I don't want to have to pay. Chris is a good guy, and I love to see him, but I don't want to pay him to come out on a weekend and fix my air conditioner. I mean, that's like double overtime pay. It's crazy, and he's already booked full. Like, so I texted him, because I'm like, I'm just going to get the motor and replace it myself. And my wife's like, I don't know, Thor. I don't know. This sounds like one of those things. What if there's something else wrong besides the motor? And I'm like, I'm sure it's just the motor, but now I'm not so sure. What if there is something else that's wrong? And oh God. So I'm going to text my buddy Chris from Solutions Heating and Air. So I texted him, and I'm like, "Hey, is this a DIY job?" And so his immediate reply back to me was the same reply I would send if a customer sent me a text message saying, "Hey, I want to replace my bad hard drive. Is cloning over a bad hard drive onto a good hard drive a do-it-yourself job?" And I would have replied back and said, "Well, no, it's probably not a do-it-yourself job. you could try, but you probably shouldn't do it. That's like the generic response, right? So he sends me that response, and I'm like, and I read it, and I'm like, I want special treatment. And so then literally, like as if we're connected psychically, my phone rings. Because I think he sent that, and he was like, but yeah, this, Thor's not mechanically inclined, kind of like he can fix things. He fixes computers all the time. So, I mean, maybe, so he calls me and he goes, okay, here's the deal. So for the average person, it's not a do-it-yourself job. So, and that's what I'm seeing online. Like, how they give you the grade the jobs, like on a 5-wrench job, this is a 4-wrench, like out of 5, right? This is like one of the hardest jobs you could do on an air conditioner. And I'm like, I do 4. They measure it with screwdrivers on like, the computer things. So it's a 5 screwdriver job. Taking the screen off that iPad is a 4 screwdriver job, but we can do it, So I'm like, I can do a 4-wrench job. That'll be fine. So he calls me back. He goes, okay, here's the deal. Replace the motor. I'm going to call over to Johnstone Supply. I'm going to tell them that you're coming in under my account. You have to pay cash for it. Don't charge it to my account, in other words. But, you can come in and you can buy the motor. He said, just take a picture of like the serial number and everything. You can buy the motor and stuff when you come in, but also get the capacitor. And I'm like, the capacitor? He said, just tell him you need a motor and a cap. And I'm like, motor and a cap. Got it. Okay. So I go into Johnstone Supply yesterday. I'm like, I need a motor and a cap. And I didn't say it quite like that. I said, I need a motor and a cap. And he's like, all right, motor and a cap. I'm like, okay, that's a thing. It's like going to Sonic. One time I went to Sonic and tried to order a Blizzard. That was embarrassing. Don't do that. But so he brings me back the motor, which is obviously it's a motor in a box. And this capacitor is the size of my fist. It's this tall and this big around. I'm like, what the heck, right? So I get home, and I before I took anything apart, I took pictures of everything, where all the wires were at, because I'm like, no, I'm not an air conditioning guy. So like the wiring, knowing where the wires go, I don't know where the wires go. But I'm not dumb. I can plug them into the same spot they were plugged into before, right? As long as I have a picture. So, I mean, I took a picture from this angle, a picture from that angle. And luckily, I used a lot of the angles. I was like, those 2 wires look like they're plugged into the same thing. Oh, no, they're not. It's at a bad angle. And I got them all plugged in, except the new motor, the wires were all different colors. So the old motor had 3 wires, red and a black and like an orange. And I was like, okay, red and black is power. Got that. And what's this orange? Is it a ground? What is that? The new motor had like orange, white orange stripe, and a green ground wire, and a white wire, and a black wire. I'm like, okay, the black wire is the black wire. Okay, so that one's easy, connected, boom. All the other wires that stayed into the capacitor, those get connected, boom, boom. So now I've just got these other wires. So I have 3 wires, and I'm not sure where they go. And so I text Chris again. He's out like in the same heat that I'm in, fixing other people's air conditioners, not getting paid a dime to help me fix my air conditioner, even letting me use his account to buy the parts. And I'm like, not to be a pest, but here's the old wires, click, and here's the new wires, click. Is it this to this, this to this, this to this? And he replies back and he tells me, and I plug it in and I plug it in and I plug it in and I hook it up. And then literally I go to plug the breaker in and I'm like, I'm super nervous. Like, this is a capacitor. A capacitor is basically a giant battery. It can explode, if you did it wrong. And I'm like, my face is here, the capacitor is here, and the plug is here. And I'm like, plug. Nothing happened. I'm like, hey, honey, did you turn off this unit upstairs by any chance? Yeah, I did. Oh, whew, okay. So I go upstairs and I turn on the unit, and I come downstairs, and she's like, turn it off, turn it off. The whole thing is rocking and shaking. It's like, brrr. And I'm like, oh, dang. So I ran over there and I pulled the breaker out again. Like, what is going on? And I take the whole top off again, look at the motor. The shaft on the motor was longer than the shaft. My old motor shaft was like this long. The new motor shaft was like that long. And the compressor is inside the air conditioner down in the bottom. So the shaft was resting on the air conditioner. So the top of the air conditioner was rocking like a top, and it was spinning. It was drilling the compressor, which I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to drill into your compressor. Crap. They didn't tell me I needed to hacksaw things. Luckily, I had a hacksaw in the garage. So then my poor wife, she's got the kids in the pool because that's the only way you contain them right now. So she's in the pool with the kids, and she's looking over at me, and she sees me come around the corner with a hacksaw. And at this point, she's like, are you sure you're supposed to cut stuff? I'm like, yes, I'm sure. Leave me alone. I'm just hacksawing like just this much off the end of that shaft. We don't need all this extra shaft anyway. It's just extra. And she's like, okay. She's pretty sure she's like, oh, we're going to be so hot tonight. And so we put it all back together again. And yay, it didn't rumble. It didn't shake. It worked absolutely perfectly. So that was pretty cool. But they didn't tell me I would have to hacksaw. The screw mounts were too tall, so the motor was hanging down. So I was worried it would wobble. So I had to hacksaw the screws off because the motor comes up and then the screws down from on top of the air conditioner. So the screws were sticking out. They were sticking out like that far. And they just give you these little cap nuts. So I had to cut those off with the hacksaw, screw those down, and then cut the shaft off the bottom and then put it in. So they don't tell you those things, but it's good to know that if the whole computer repair thing doesn't work out for me, I might be able to convince Chris to let me take like a junior technician role over at Solutions Heating and Air. Seriously though, guys, I'm gonna plug him because he did not have to do any of this stuff for me. Solutions Heating and Air. He did not have to do any of this stuff. And like I said, he's a great guy. His website needs some work, and I'm going to talk to him about that. It's not a bad website. It's just, it could be a lot better than what he's got. But anyway, there's his website. So if you're having trouble with your air conditioner today, the solution to your air conditioning problem is Solutions Heating and Air, okay? Give him a call. When you call the weekend number, like you're calling the guy's pocket. I mean, he's just a small business owner like I am. He does his best. He's got a good core of guys. They went over and worked on my mom's air conditioner, and it was a capacitor that was bad. That's the thing I wanted to make sure I told you. So here's the thing. The capacitor. The reason he had me replace the capacitor, first of all, when I opened up my air conditioner, the capacitor was bulging across the top. And I'd never seen an air conditioner capacitor before, so I didn't know if they bulged like computer capacitors do when they're bad. And the answer is they do. And I asked him, how long are capacitors supposed to last? He says between 1 and 10 years. He goes, I've seen them last 1 year, and I've seen them last 20. 1 to 10 is a good estimate. Well, I've had mine for about 10, so that's probably average, which I'm looking at the other air conditioner now, because here's the thing. That capacitor at Johnstone Supply was very inexpensive. You can get them on Amazon too. You don't have to go to the supply house. You can get them on Amazon, 30, 40 bucks. You've got yourself your capacitor. Make sure you get the right one. I don't know how you're going to figure that out. Just figure it out. But when you get the right one and you put it in, if that capacitor fails in your air conditioner, the first thing that happens is that capacitor is what kickstarts the motor. Okay? So all that heat that's coming out of the air, so you're not actually pumping cold air into your house. You're pulling the heat out of the air and exhausting it outside of the house, leaving only cold behind, right? So that's a very basic cooling explanation. But the heat goes outside to that big unit outside that's like a big radiator, and that big fan is what pulls air through the radiator to exhaust the heat into the environment and get rid of it. If that fan stops turning, the capacitor goes bad, it can't start the fan. The fan stops turning, the whole unit gets stupid hot. Like I explained, hot to the touch. Then your compressor goes bad because it gets too hot. When the compressor goes bad, that's when you have to buy a new air conditioner. So this little $30, $40 capacitor, or however much they cost, 100 bucks, I don't know, when you buy them regular retail, this capacitor can literally kill your entire air conditioner if you haven't replaced it. So when your HVAC guy is coming out to do the checkup on your heating and air system, have him check your capacitor, specifically ask him to test the capacitor. And you can look at your capacitor. You can tell by looking at it if it's bad sometimes, because it'll be bulged. It'll look like it's got a little dome on the top. It should be perfectly flat like the top of a pop can. And if it's not, if it's domed at all, just replace it. It's not worth the risk of losing an entire air conditioner over like a $100 part. Same thing with computers. It's just not worth the risk. And we tell people that, and they still take the risk. And then they come back and they're upset when things blow up. I'm going to probably be getting a second capacitor and just replacing the one in the other air conditioner just because I don't want to risk losing an entire $3,000 or $4,000 air conditioner because capacitor. That's stupid. So anyway, there's your air conditioning tip for the day today. Got you there. And let's see, even worse if I have a tap and die set. Yeah, I actually have a tap and die set. I have no idea how to use it. But it was my grandpa's, so it's kind of cool. It's like my grandpa's toolkit. And this is like a tool for my grandfather. It's in a wooden slide box and everything. It's got everything in there. I have no idea how to use it. My guess is it's designed to tap things and die things. I know it's not used to die things. All right. Yeah, to make a long story short, too late, right, Keith? All right, guys, I got to roll. I got an air conditioner to fix, another one. So I'm going to get going here. But if you have time, please do post the reviews. If you need an air conditioning person, please call Chris over at Solutions. He's an awesome guy. His team is awesome. They'll get you taken care of. They have an emergency number there on the website if you need it for the weekend here. If your air conditioner is down right now, give him a call. Tell him that Thor from Compute This sent you because he has no idea that I've been plugging him on air all day today. He's probably still in bed because he works hard. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Have a great week coming up, and we'll see you in the service centers. It's a good time to come in if you have a maintenance checkup certificate because we are slow because of the heat right now. Nobody wants to go out. So if you have some cabin fever, you want to get out your air-conditioned car to go to an air-conditioned shop, you can bring it in, and then we'll do your preventative maintenance for you. It's a good time to do it. All right, we'll talk to you again next week, guys. Have a great week.